Okay, we've got stocks at the lows of the day. The Nasdaq down 2%, and Apple just ticked lower as well after Bloomberg reports that the company will halt all sales to Russia. Okay, so there's your latest on that. Today's been a very interesting session. Crude oil has been catching the eye of investors as the biggest leader, but gold is making a case for attention too, continuing its strength. And now Bitcoin breaks out as stocks are down. Let's bring in Scott Bauer, joining us, the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. I guess, Scott, firstly, I should be very careful about the language I use when I'm talking to a guy who looks at charts. Maybe it's not a breakout in Bitcoin, but it's something. It's doing well after being tied to stocks for a while. You making anything of the last 24 hours?
So you just said something. You said it's doing something. And I think I'm being, kind of facetious, but I'm also, really pointing out, Oliver, you and I have had this conversation just how many times. What is this really tied to? Over the last year, we've seen maybe the fact that it was supposed to be tied to rates, maybe not pan out. The fact that it was supposed to be tied to the equity market, maybe sometimes.
Sure.
And now why is it going up? We don't know if it's going up right now because of maybe some people thinking that, well, this is the way that people have to, transact business or move money around overseas with what is going on. Or is it going up as a risk asset now? So I think what this has done is just confuse the entire overhang of how Bitcoin and how crypto is really correlated to the overall market. And we still don't know what that correlation is.
Yeah, I think the point is well made. And you have always been a skeptic of having any real discernible correlation. And generally, I think that's been the right place to be. Because even if you try and do it with stocks, it doesn't always work, number one. Number two is that there's kind of a lead lag that's hard to figure out. Generally, they kind of move around the same time frames. But even last year when Bitcoin pulled back from the highs in February 2021, there were plenty of stocks that worked, right? It was kind of more attached to one specific category of super high growth stuff. So in the case right now for how to hedge this particular scenario we're in, inflation is the backdrop, but then geopolitics that is a separate problem, but might also be adding to inflation.
Right.
Gold sitting at 19. What are you more impressed by technically? What's happening in BTC or what's happening in gold?
Absolutely Bitcoin. There's no question about it because with what's happened in gold here, given everything that we have experienced over the last weeks, months, you would think that gold would be trading near that high of 2,100. That we saw, what was it, 18 months ago, a year ago, whatever it was.
Hey, it's trying.
It is trying, but this is the ultimate risk-off asset, right? This is the ultimate go-to when the you-know-what hits the fan, when there's geopolitical concerns, when there's issues here with the Fed. This is the ultimate go-to. Why hasn't it really broken out? Yes, it has moved off that, 1850, 1900 level that it traded at for so long, but why isn't it up there? So something just doesn't make sense. I am not smart enough to know why it doesn't make sense.
Scott, don't short sell yourself.
Speaking about selling, I have been selling every rally that I can in gold. I'm obviously using stops, but I'm selling every rally, buying back when it sells off. I'm sure at some point here I'm going to get stopped out and it's going to hurt, but that's okay because for right now, as much as the equity market has flipped to selling the rips instead of buying the dips now, I'm doing the opposite, or I'm doing the same thing, I should say, with gold also, is selling these moves higher.
Okay. I'm going to call you the exterminator, Scott. You're stepping all over the bugs, the gold bugs. Hey, I see a long-term wedge for gold. It looks like we're kind of trying to break out from it. That downtrend from 18, that doesn't impress you?
It absolutely does, and that's why I said at some point I'm going to get stopped out on my trade.
Okay.
But that's okay because the momentum and at least the paper right now, the way the trade has been over, probably the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe a bit longer, is you follow this pattern. I'm a trend trader here. I'm not, necessarily looking where is gold going to be 6 months from now. I don't really care about it as an investment, to be quite honest. I'm a trader and I'm looking very short term. Again, that's why I use my stops.
All right, so you're not thinking this is the trend breakout. Hey, I've been saying that we want to see what happens to gold if there's a cooling of geopolitics, right? Can gold sustain any of this run if there's some positive news on the politics and the war side? So
I think we'll be below 1900 as fast as you can imagine.
Pretty quick.
Yep.
Okay. All right. There it is. Scott Bauer, thanks. We got to jump. We're going to talk cybersecurity and cloud.